This is a 10-second exposure of Messier 22, and I've left it running for a while. Right now it's stacked 5 times and has ignored one, and all the stars look perfectly round. Now I'm beginning to believe the issue that I was experiencing over the last day or two was due to resources on the computer. So one of my diagnostic steps to find out if that was the problem was to make sure I completely rebooted the computer from scratch to clear out all of its resources. Let's see if throughout the night this continues to work out. I can give you some data on Messier 22. I do believe I have already covered it as an NGC. But as a Messier, it's a globular cluster in Sagittarius, the brightest one from the northern hemisphere, 5.2, 24 arc minutes in size, so about the largest too, right there with Messier 13. 10,400 light years distant, which explains it. Right ascension 18 hours, 36 minutes, 24 seconds. Declination minus 23 degrees, 54 minutes and 12 seconds. A very nice view, and my apologies to the fine folks at ASI Studio if I mischaracterized it, but the problem did occur right after I uploaded the latest version of the software. So that would be my only excuse, but let's hope that it is something. The problem I was having is something that can be solved locally. That would mean other people aren't experiencing it, and I have the capacity to solve the problem myself. Anyway, let's move on to the NGC6800-6900 series of studies that will be selected for me, typically between the sky's middle third up to the point where the roof tries block it, but also deep south if something of interest such as Messier 22 pops its head up. Okay, here we have NGC 6809, otherwise known as Messier 55. Deep south, 6.3 magnitude, fairly bright. 19 arc minutes in size, quite large. Brightest star is a magnitude 11.2. That should tell you it's pretty close. It's a class 11, 17,000 light years distant. We're at right ascension 1939-59, and our declination is typically out of our zone, but we have a very good night of seeing down south tonight. I want to point out that all these studies are culminating. It's 8:13 p.m., and they're tipping the scales now and just about ready to head west for the rest of the evening and west overall as we exit the summer season. NGC 6809, 19 hours, 39 minutes, 59 seconds, with a declination of minus 30 degrees, 57 minutes, 44 seconds. And this time I'll pause it. Okay, I picked out our next study because it was Mysterioso. It's an NGC 6813, just described as a nebula in Vulpecula. 3 arc minutes in size, elliptical. Now, what would be fun about this one is to get a sense of what its brightness is, cumulative. It might be a nice exercise to do. If it's 3 arc minutes in size, and it's showing up as well as what I would consider a 14th magnitude galaxy, you should be able to calculate, and maybe I will too, the average surface brightness of this nebulosity. Now let's go ahead and zoom in a bit. It does kind of look like a 14th magnitude type galaxy. There are a couple of stars involved, but we're interested in the nebulosity around it. So that's our view of NGC 6813 in Vulpecula, an emissive nebula 3 arc minutes in size, right ascension 1940-22 with a declination of plus 27 degrees, 18 minutes, 33 seconds. Well, this is going to be a fun one. This is NGC 6814, a galaxy in Aquila. It's a magnitude 11.2. 3.5 by 3.5 arc minutes, which means it probably has an average surface brightness of about 14. It is an a barred spiral, lowercase bc, so 2.5 times removed from lenticular, which means it's probably got a delta of about 0.7 magnitudes between its blue-violet and its visual light spectrum. 70 million light years distant puts it at about 50 to 60,000 light years in diameter. Now look at that one. Would you agree with me that it has an angularity around it? It is a spiral with a capital B, which means it has two spiral arms and they're completely wrapped around. It's hugging itself at its waist. And yes, it has a ring. So here is our 150x view of NGC 6814, a splendid galaxy, despite being minus 10 degrees, 19 minutes, 26 seconds, with a right ascension of 19 hours, 42 minutes, and 40 seconds. And we go up again. Okay, what we're seeing right here, and it's pretty obvious what it is based on its color, plus we're also getting some local skylighting of the field of view, is 6818, a planetary nebula in Sagittarius, magnitude 10, 22 by 15 arc seconds, with a 15th magnitude central star, 6,700 light years distant, which puts it about 2.5 times the distance to the ring. It's at right ascension 1943.57 and a declination of minus 14 degrees, 9 minutes, and 10 seconds. A quick zoom in, we're not seeing much. Generally, it doesn't help when you push the magnification too far when it's completely illuminated planetary nebula of this type, but the color is quite nice. Okay, I wanted to show you Barnard's galaxy, but we've got too much local illumination on the screen, and there's really not much I can do about it. It's a very large galaxy. I'll give you the data on it, but that's about it. I'm playing with the histogram. NGC 6822, otherwise known as Barnard's galaxy, is a satellite galaxy, a distant satellite galaxy within the local group of galaxies. I've seen it at the eyepiece of a 6-inch. It was discovered at the eyepiece of a 6-inch refractor mounted on whatever scope Barnard was using at the time. It's in Sagittarius, magnitude 8.8, but huge, 15.4 by 14.2. arc minutes in size. It's an irregular galaxy, 1.8 million light years distant, so it's not quite, it's part of our system, but it may or may not be revolving around our own Milky Way. Right ascension 19 hours 44 minutes 56 seconds with a declination of minus 14 48.23. I recommend anybody with a small scope and a really good night of seeing get some low magnification out and head out and see if you can turn up NGC 6822. Okay, I believe this is an open cluster that we saw down in the corner when we were looking for a planetary nebula, I believe, for a galaxy earlier. This is NGC 6823 nebula, an open cluster in Vulpecula. Magnitude 7.1, 12 arc minutes in size, some 30 stars, magnitude 8.8 at the brightest. It's a class 1, so it's quite distinct from the background, Roman numeral 1, but 3. There's a lot of disparity in the brightness of the stars, which means it probably is a relatively young open cluster because the bright progenitor stars are still quite bright. Right ascension 1943.09 with a declination of plus 23 degrees 18 minutes. And we're now about 11 minutes into this video. I better start skipping ahead. We're only up to 6823. All right, everything we're seeing now is post-culminatory. This one is a very beautiful, spectacular view of an edge-on galaxy. NGC 6835 is a galaxy in Sagittarius, magnitude 12.5, 2.4 by 0.7 arc minutes, means it's about 3.5 to 1 aspect ratio. Now, we're seeing it very edgy on. It's a spiral with a capital B, or bar, and a lowercase a. So apparently they've determined that it has only 2 spiral arms. And I don't know how they did that from this angle, but maybe something with long-term exposures they did, or a space telescope. Lowercase a means it's only one time removed from lenticular, fairly mature galaxy. Probably has a BV delta of about 0.9. 71 million light years distant, which at about, let's say, 50,000 light years in diameter. We should do some zoomage on it. There is also a fainter echo of a galaxy located in the same field. This one is 12.5. This one's probably somewhere around magnitude 14 and less mature. Let's push it up now to about 120x. Both views brighten because we're using more pixels in the CCD imager, and 150x for our final view of a very nice edge-on galaxy, NGC 6800-6900, right ascension 1954-32, declination -1234.03. Well, amazingly, 6830, oh boy, I think it was 6833, back, delete, 3, enter. Amazingly, the next galaxy in sequence was the neighbor. However, it said it was magnitude 12.8. That doesn't make much sense. I'm having to skip through because, oh yeah, there it is. 12.9. Now, look at this one and tell me this one is 0.5 magnitudes fainter. Not very likely. Anyway, 6836 is another galaxy in Sagittarius. Magnitude 12.9, 1.7 by 1.5 arc minutes, bar with a bar, but a lowercase m. Have to look that one up. 72 million light years distant. Right ascension 1954-40 with a declination of -1241.16. It does tell us that this galaxy is east of that one. So this is our east, this is our west, north, and our south. This is another one of those faint globular clusters. Actually, no, I thought I had selected a 12. Oh, I see what it was. This is a bright globular cluster, NGC6838 in Sagittarius. It's Messier 71, 8.3 arc minutes. Magnitude 8.3, 6.1 arc minutes in size. I hope that satellite got a nice view of the globular cluster. Brightest stars are magnitude 12.1. It's 12,000 light years distant. Right ascension 1953-46 with a declination of +1846.41. Here we're looking for NGC 6842, a planetary nebula in Vulpecula, magnitude 13.1, 53 by 48 arc seconds. I am not seeing it, but let's zoom in anyway. Probably this little sweet, oh, looks like there's something here, and there's a faint one right there. Wow. And you can see the central star. This, I don't know, these here are a little out of focus too. I think I'm going to have to take some time and redo the focus because temperatures have shifted. Anyway, 6842 planetary nebula Vulpecula, magnitude 13.1, 53 by 48 arc seconds, with a magnitude 14.5 central star, 4,500 light years distant, RA 1955-02, DEC plus 29 degrees, 17 minutes, 20 seconds. Very ghostly. Okay, that's Mo Better back into ASI Live. Here is our face-on planetary with its 14.5 magnitude central star, looking a bit faintly there, isn't it? Here's our 300x view. I did sharpen the stars a little bit, but you can't tell at high magnifications. Our 240x view. Our 150x view. Things are looking a little tighter there. Back down to 90x, which is a really nice view because it just fills out the field of view. Moving on. All right, once again, the graveyard of stars. This is a planetary nebula in Aquila the Eagle, NGC 6852, brightish, magnitude 11.4, 28 arc seconds in size, has a magnitude 17.9 central star, 8,900 light years distant, right ascension 20 hours 39 minutes, so we've crossed the 20-hour mark, and a declination of +1 degree 43 minutes 41 seconds. This is our view. We are seeing the central star. Let's see what magnification I ended up at. Well, let's go to our 240x view. Here's our central star. There's some other bright objects in the way. We're at right ascension 20, as I said, 20 hours at this point. So moving on. Gonna have to do some big skippage now. We're 17 minutes in. All right, this is one we cannot afford to skip. A 10-second view and a very good night of seeing of the Dumbbell Planetary in Vulpecula. It's also known as NGC6853. Its magnitude 7.3, very large, 480 by 340 arc seconds. Divide that by 60 and you get something like 8 by 5. It's got a magnitude 14.1 central star, quite obvious there. 860 light years distant, which explains its size. Right ascension 1959.36 plus 22 degrees, 43 minutes, 15 seconds. Don't think I need to push the magnification any more than 90x. Oh, I didn't get far, did I? Here we have another nebula. It's just described as a nebula, not as a planetary. Maybe it's in the early phase of nebulation. It's in Cygnus, magnitude 11.4, a mere 0.8 arc minutes in size, magnitude 14.3 central star. It's described as an emissive. Right ascension 20.0148, declination plus 33, 31, 33. Here we have a galaxy in Aquila, NGC6865, magnitude 14.6, 0.8 by 0.6 arc minutes, quite apparent. It's probably around 13.8 in visual. Lenticular spiral, it's got a bright central core, 218 million light years distant, probably about 50,000 light years in diameter. It's at 20 hours, 5 minutes, 56 seconds, and it has a declination of minus 9 degrees, 2 minutes, and 28 seconds. Okay, before I move on, this is an open cluster that I chose not to actually capture the data on. I wish I had done so. There are some very peculiar dots forming on this screen, right here next to these two stars. I can't be sure what those are, but if they're anything, they must be spontaneously brightening and then dimming again. Very sharp, very slow moving, very distant. Wow. I wish I had recorded what this is because I've moved on to 6883 at this point, but it's somewhere between the last one and 6883. It's an open cluster with nebulosity, and I believe it is in Cygnus. Okay, these dots are still persistent around this star now. This is NGC 6883. It's at 20 hours, 11 minutes, 19 seconds, plus 35 degrees, 51 minutes. No seconds in Cygnus. I'm just going to add that information just because it's so peculiar to see it. Well, anybody who's been following this imaging series, even when I had the Rev2 system and now the ZWO, knows that this is the Crescent Nebula, NGC6800-6900. I've imaged it numerous times. It is obviously a blowout. There's supposed to be a Wolf-Rayet star here somewhere, and I think they actually have rather explosive they explode regularly, and this is probably a serious explosion of star material going out in the distance. 6 AAAs, a nebula in Cygnus, magnitude 10, 20 by 10 arc minutes, elliptic. It's an emissive type, 4,800 light years distant. Right ascension 2012-06 with a declination of plus 38 degrees, 21 minutes, 17 seconds. Okay, NGC 6891. Is a planetary nebula. For the first time we were exploring Delphinus the Dolphin. It's magnitude 10.5, but it's really strange. 16 by 7 arc seconds in size, so it should be quite oblate. Let's push this a little bit. Well, obviously, given its color, this is our planetary. Magnitude 10.5, 16 by 7, with a magnitude 12.3 central star. 11,800 light years distance is a ways out there. That's about almost halfway to the center of the Milky Way galaxy, but off at an angle. Right ascension 20 hours, 15:08 with a declination of plus 12 degrees, 42 minutes, 15 seconds. Ooh, jump through the hoop. That's a sweetie. NGC 6894 is a planetary in Cygnus. Magnitude 14.4. Boy, this would be a tough one to pick up in anything less than maybe a 12 to 15 inch telescope. 44 by 39 arc seconds in size with a magnitude 18.3 central star. That's not it. There it is. This must be a great night of seeing. Of course, this planetary is nearly overhead. fantastic view. Look at that ring. Ah, beautiful. 5,400 light years distant with a right ascension of 20 hours, 16 minutes, 23 seconds, and a northerly declination of plus 30 degrees, 33 minutes, 54 seconds. I am blown away by that magnitude central star. Of course, that could be a photographic magnitude. Let's take this all the way up to 300x. Drop down to full resolution magnification for a 6-inch scope of 240 with the ZWO system, pushing it back to 150x, which gives probably the best highest magnitude views that show stars that look relatively decent if focused, and then back to our 30% view, which is about 90x, which captures the whole field of view, losing only a little bit to the top and the bottom, and then finally we are back to 60x. What a nice hoop to jump through. Okay, what we're seeing here is NGC6800-6900. I selected it because it's a galaxy in Capricornus. We'll do a little zoomage on it, put in the middle of the field. Oh, it's got a neighbor too, a brighter neighbor. Magnitude 15, 0.9 by 0.5 arc minutes in size, spiral with a lowercase bc, so fully developed spiral, more than 2 spiral arms, but 2.5 times removed from lenticular. 244 million light years distant, gives it a size of about 70,000 light years. Right ascension is 2101, declination is minus 12 degrees, 15 minutes and 17 seconds. This galaxy here lies north and east, so it would probably be our next study, but let's see if it's in the 68 to 6900 series. That was, in fact, our next galaxy, NGC6898. It's in Capricornus, magnitude 14, or probably less, 1.2 by 0.7. Spiral with a lowercase a, so close to lenticular, 255 million light years distant, probably about 90,000 light years in diameter. RA 202108, declination minus 12, 2132. I'm now 24 minutes into this video. I have to cut out a few things, but we pushed the limits on this one. This and this galaxy, these two galaxies, shall be our Carpe Noctem view with some interesting asterisms as well. Carpe Noctem.